Okay, gang, welcome back to the Nick and Joe Show. I'm Nick, he's Joe, and we've been tearing it up tonight. We're in the broadcast center right here in the nation's capital, and you're listening to the best doggone talk, conservative talk radio show in the country.
Well, why not the world?
Okay, the world. I'm willing to raise the bar.
We're almost the only genuine conservative talk radio. You know, there are a lot of more or less right-wing commentators out there, but I have to tell you, I am not entirely convinced of their conservatism in many cases.
Now, we're talking about people like Rush Limbaugh.
Well, Rush is a different case, but I didn't say, I wasn't speaking universally.
Okay.
Oh, Rush Limbaugh's pretty, okay, maybe we're the second best.
No, I think we're at least as good as he is. The only difference he has is cash to be able to polish his show and smoke. Is he still? He had some real health concerns. Is he still broadcasting?
Yes, he is.
He is good. Good. It'd be a dark day for conservative talk radio when he passes.
It indeed will be.
Anyway, that's not the point. That's not what we have. That's not what we're here for. What we are here for, Joseph, is this move to continually revise history by taking people the left doesn't like and pillorying them long after they're dead. There's a case out of England, I'll introduce the topic with this, where there's a school, and the school has houses, or I'm taking by houses, I mean dormitories. And each one has a name, a particular name. And there's two they have to remove, according to the students and staff at the school. One is the Churchill House, and the other one is the Rowling's house. Now, Winston Churchill, one of the most influential people in the last 100 years, got us through some of the darkest times in our history, certainly deserves credit for what he did. He's a human being, and they're basing their criticism on something he said when he was much younger, and they don't understand the context because, as you were saying before in the production meeting, you cannot judge people of the past by current standards. You have to look at the kind of culture they lived in. And he was a man of his times, so his attitudes weren't unique to him. He just was very good at expressing them. And then J.K. Rowling's, they want to get rid of her name on the house because they looked at her as a bully, because it had something to do with how what she said about show me the gender, talked about the gender that bleeds. She didn't want to use the word woman because it was all built around the transsexual situation. And they figured that was being a bully, so they're going to kick her off too. So that's the genesis for where all this is going to come from. So I'm going to let you jump in because you found some really interesting stuff.
I did, and then I closed my browser windows, but that's okay.
Back.
I haven't gotten it back yet, but that's really neither here nor there.
Okay.
Look, there are a lot of problems with this, and we just felt that that if you're going to be running around basically attacking certain individuals, predominantly, I have to say, individuals who are more or less situated on the right wing of the political spectrum, okay? So if you're going to be doing that, fine. But fair play is fair play. And so I don't want to necessarily use the word hypocrisy.
No.
I don't want to accuse people on the left of being hypocrites or anything like that. Okay? But I just figure, look, if you're going to go down this road, then okay, fair play. Let's treat each other. Let's treat the icons of ideas and ideology, etc., and the champions of left-wing and right-wing thinking and politics and behavior the same way. And I know what you're thinking out there, our dear listeners, you're thinking, oh, here he goes. He's going to go now. Nancy Pelosi said this.
Nope.
Donald Trump said that. Okay? And, I'm tempted to do it. All right. But no, I'm not going to go down that road. What I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is more important than that. I am going to, as I type in a couple of things here, hang on, bear with me. See, I closed my window
web
here.
browser, yes.
Yeah. There we go. So, if you're going to ban Winston Churchill for whatever his alleged sins were, then I might suggest to you, or I might educate you on an important matter here, and that is Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, the father of modern evolutionary thought.
Right.
And by the
Taught
way,
in every school in the country.
To a certain degree, discredited. It's not for our uneducated, deplorable listeners out there who are used to being called Neanderthals and whatever. Okay, Charles Darwin was not well received, and there are problems with his theory, other than the fact that there are a lot of people that criticize it on philosophical and theological grounds, but there are problems with it generally.
Beyond
anyway.
that.
But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is we all know that the Bible, Charles Darwin's Bible, if you will, of evolution, is called The Origin of Species. But that's a whitewashed name. The real title, the full title, I should say, of that particular book, which was published in 1859, was The Origin of Species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life.
Oh, my God.
So let me just read that back to you again. The full title of Charles Darwin's Origin of Species is, quote, The Origin of Species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, okay, yes, shocking, you heard it here, maybe not first, but more clearly than you've heard it anywhere else. Charles Darwin was a racist.
And you know what? If you're going to pull down Winston Churchill's name, you got to pull his.
I demand on the principle of not just equality, but racial harmony.
That's right.
Racial harmony, that Charles Darwin no longer, his theory of evolution must be removed from all schools, public schools, private schools, independent schools, charter schools, home schools.
Homeschool.
I'm telling you, Nick, if parents who homeschool their children dare to talk about evolution a la Charles Darwin, I think that the children should be removed from their home. If you're going to send the stormtroopers in to remove a snow hill from the backyard of a private home because the children are playing and having too much fun on it, and in a COVID-19 universe, if you're going to take that kind of action, then you better be prepared to storm in there and seize those children, because their minds are being poisoned. Poisoned, I say.
I think. Look, you're. I'm going to take this to the local school board. I mean, come on. How can we teach if this is such a if the kinds of things that we're taking names down for are centered around whether they're racist or not? How can you leave this in place? Just because they shorten the title so you don't people don't know. Once we find out, right? Once we find out, we have the duty to act. Is that not true?
And in fact, I think that is see something, say something.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. See evil, speak it. Well, you don't speak it, but you point it out.
Report evil.
There you go. Yeah. My neighbor's got too many kids on that hill.
Yeah.
Anyway, but in one way we're kind of laughing, but on the other side of the coin,
But this is it. This is not. It is not a laughing matter.
No, you're right. We're treating it with humor, but it's a very serious issue.
It very much is.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to use modern sensibilities to sanitize history of anything that they find goes against their world belief.
Nick, I resent you trying to get me to defend Charles Darwin. But in fairness, being the good conservative that I am, I believe in equality before the law and justice and equal in that respect.
All right, so let's dig him up. We'll have a trial, then we'll hang him and bury him again.
I think in fairness that you're right. Charles Darwin does not deserve to be treated this way posthumously by anybody.
No, of course not.
Even though he was a dirty racist.
That's right. And he's not the only one you found.
Oh, well, without getting into detail, I mean, it's not just a question of finding. This stuff is common knowledge, and which is funny. It's common knowledge amongst the very people that are demanding that, Sir John A. Macdonald, schools named after Sir John A. Macdonald should be, changed. The name changed because Sir John A. Macdonald, not because he drank too much, but because he might have said something derogatory about Native First Nations people here in Canada. Okay.
Well, the only thing
my question would be, of course, okay, who didn't say things negatively at that time? Okay, in public life or in private life.
Yeah,
that was just the society that they lived in. I'm not justifying it, and I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that there's something intellectually dishonest about judging people retrospectively and with such harshness in using the terms of our social of our society today, or the way our society is today. And by the way, not in everything is our society today better than they were 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Shot. Maybe in this area. But I did want to point out, one of the icons of the left, the progressive left, in fact, one of the founding fathers, I would argue, of the progressive left in North America, Woodrow Wilson.
President Woodrow Wilson.
President Woodrow Wilson was a racist. And, as long as you're talking this way, and, I keep saying this when this kind of subject comes up, Nick, I'm not American, don't have a dog in the hunt, don't have a horse in the race, okay? But the Democratic Party was the racist party for all of those years. It was the Democrats, and the Republican Party, the modern Republican Party, was the first leader was Lincoln, and the founding principle, the catalyst bringing together that political party was slavery. Okay? And it was an abolitionist party. Don't want to get into the history, but if you're American, you should know this, okay? So let's talk about Wilson for a minute or two. Woodrow Wilson, after the Civil War, particularly under President Grant, there were a lot of rights and desegregation as the government grew and became more firmly established in the United States. The federal government, at any rate, was largely desegregated. And it was Wilson